live, so now you can see Brian in the studio with us here on 4 Deep Sports Talk in Brockton. Brian covers the Brockton Boxers, which is being an ex-Brockton guy. But again, the bottom half there with all the scores. So, do you guys have? I got a bunch of questions I want to ask them. So I don't know if you guys just want to, have something off the top of your head. Like my first thing is, for me, Brian, is how better did we get from last year?
Well, we've had a quarterback for the last 2 years that had an injury with his ACL, so we've kind of had to plug other quarterbacks in. So he's back for his senior season, Jose Montero Jr. It's been tough because last year we lost, the year before we lost our key running back when we had Kerry Raymond the year before, and then we lost our quarterback last year. So it's kind of tough to compete, but like I said, he's back and ready for his senior season, and have a bunch of linemen back from last year's team, so.
But Nate, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, to go off of that, you said he was coming back from injury. How's he been looking like in terms of rust, anything like that?
No, he's been pretty well. Like I said, his conditioning and everything, he basically got into, ready back into playing shape, and he's been running like crazy all over the field because most of the formation they run out of the pistol. So a lot of times he'll just take off if there's nothing there or the play breaks down. He'll just take off on his own, and obviously the knees, wears the brace and everything, but everything he's been doing very well in regards to mobility and stuff in the pocket as well.
That's awesome.
Much better.
Yeah.
Now, how are we doing for injuries compared going into week 2?
Well, everything seems to be good, but of course, which is the perfect time to avoid a lot of the injuries because, as I always say, we're the unofficial member of the Catholic Conference.
Yeah, you get that right.
That starts up this week, next week I should say, with Catholic Memorial at home. Then we play Boston College High School. The game is going to be at Harvard Stadium the following week. And then, of course, right after that, we have to follow that up with Xaverian. So, yeah. So basically, our Catholic Conference schedule begins starting next week.
I can elaborate on that because you're making me laugh, and I think you know where I'm going with this. When you said the unofficial, member of the Catholic Conference, besides, in my humble opinion, besides, Brockton, Bridgewater, Raynham, even Attleboro played Rhode Island teams out of the state, and they said, a tough one that we talked about the other day. Craig, remember when they lost with 4 seconds left to try to win the game?
Oh, yeah, on the block field goal.
Block field goal, yeah. Brockton just plays Catholic Conference all day long. They did it when they were in the Suburban League. Well, the Suburban League was a joke because you had Leominster and all those other weak teams in there, unfortunately. Again, no disrespect, I should have said that first, but it was what it was. It was what it was. But anyway, yeah, they're going to run off the Catholic Conference just like Bridgewater Raynham, and it's funny, and you know what, maybe this will start with this question. Remember when I was talking to Paul about the Big 7? Mm-hmm. So last week we had Paul Haley. He is the voice of Attleboro football. And I'm going to throw this in, your direction. Of course, your opinion means a lot. That's why we have you in here. Years ago, I started this 10 years ago. They talked about, well, hey, we're going to create a Big 7 and abolish the OCL and the Big 3. And you know what it is. It's male enrollment. Mm-hmm. The bigger the schools, the bigger the male enrollment. Brockton has 47. I know for a fact Brockton has over 4,800 kids in that school. Sometimes high, sometimes low. It's basically, remember we used to call it, it used to be a small city, we used to call it its own personal city, as far as referring to high school. But my question was, I guess what would you want to see if you could put big teams together? Let's forget about the Catholic Conference, and Paul mentioned about that. That's its own animal in itself. And that's why, you know what I mean, you get Catholic Memorial, you have Xaverian, you have St. John's Prep, which is up in the North Shore, you have St. John's, I know Catholic Memorial, I know I'm missing somebody else, but you know my idea.
Yeah, so initially I think when we started talking about leagues anyways, when they tried to get away with the Big 3, I know Brock said, we've put it in for the Bay State League and all these other teams, because a lot of the teams from the Suburban League went to the Bay State League. So we figured we'd play a lot of those teams. So, and every league that they applied to, it was like, oh, well, no one wanted Brockton because of the size of the school. Now, the other thing with the enrollment in terms of those numbers, the other thing where numbers are, numbers are kind of deceiving because the soccer team has really improved. But a lot of the people that lived in Brockton, and I know a lot of friends that have moved into Bridgewater or into Raynham, so a lot of kids I know, their parents were part of the program and they're in Bridgewater, Raynham now. So a lot of their kids are playing for Bridgewater Rainham. So we've lost a lot of the, you know, a lot of the talent in the city. One year, a quarterback for Zavarian that we played in the playoffs was a quarterback from Brockton as well too. So, you know, but I think in terms overall as a league, I've always thought merging the Big Three and the Old Colony League would be a perfect fit anyways, because Bridgewater, Rainham, Taunton we've played in the past before.
Yeah.
We've also played Barnstable in the past as well too. So in terms of enrollment, you know, obviously the league, it's basically, it's like, kind of like a Notre Dame. We basically play an independent schedule other than the Durfee and New Bedford.
Yeah.
So if you merge some other teams that you could play, the only thing with the Bridgewater Rainham, obviously, it would make it tough playing during the season and then playing again on Thanksgiving Day in terms of how the league play would work prior to the playoffs. But we did play them in the playoffs the one year and then played them again on Thanksgiving Day.
I think that's a good way to round it off. I think you touched every
Yeah.
edge on which way to do it. You know, I mean, then you have, unfortunately, you go through, well, the big thing that helps out Brockton is that now they have, well, even before, because when I actually coached major football for Hercules Construction, and that was a little good feeder system for them, because you basically try to run what Armin was running.
Exactly. Well, that's why if you look at teams like Everett, you know, Everett won the Super Bowl last year, you know, beating Zavarian, and that's what it takes. Their feeder program starts at a young age, and by the time they get to the high school, they're pretty much running the same offense that, you know, they're running at the high school. When their feeder program, they work together with the system to be able to get that through. So,
Yeah.
so I think that's one of the things with Brockton that's going to be helping is, you know, having the, you know, the Pop Warner and the midget football and everything to get the kids ready for the next level, because that's what it's going to take. Because your Catholic conferences teams are basically all-star teams from all over the state. So the best kid from Bridgewater, the best kid from Brockton, the best kid from Westwood, the best kid from wherever is actually going to be going to the Catholic schools.
Yeah, and sometimes I don't think that's fair. But I was curious, what do you guys think about that as a football fan, about that? I mean, I have my opinion, I know Brian has his, but do you guys have any opinions on that as far as, basically what they do is, in my opinion, they sit there and they scout. They watch them play midget football, they watch them play freshman football, and they try to rope them away from the schools. I don't know what they offer them, I mean, I could be totally off. But you know what I mean, like someone from Apponequet, hypothetically, someone from Apponequet, great play, you know what? You should come play for Severian. Hey, you know what? BC High would love you, GPA is great, and now you're taking a potential kid that could probably make out just as well. Of course, the level of play is different because you have different male enrollments and, you know, that type of thing, but at the same time, it's still football. It's just at a different division.
Yeah, kind of like what they do in college when scouts will like,
Right.
will be like, hey, come to Alabama or come to UCLA or whatever. That is kind of interesting. I don't know if I agree with it though. I remember last week when we had Paul, we were talking about how high school football is more or less football like in its purest form.
Yeah.
So you go around scouting, trying to take kids away from other high school, and that's the thing is, you know, these are kids. What if like the school is like, who knows, super far away from where they live, you know?
And it's been done. It's been done. You get kids like, Cardinal Spellman, for example. You get kids coming from Whitman Hanson go to Cardinal Spellman because their parents believe in that. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but it's like, you kind of can't help but question that, though,
Yeah.
if it is far away.
Yeah, exactly. And then unfortunately, when it comes, it's not unfortunate. The parents want to do what's best for their kids, and they believe that program's good. But that program started off a long time ago. Initially, people going to check out your kid, having them come play for the Catholic schools. You know, so I don't know. I just don't agree. We got about 50 seconds left. We're gonna take a first break. We're talking to Brian Lynch. I call him a beat writer because he does a great job, and that's your beat, Brockton Boxer football. How many years has it been now?
Well, let's just say I've been associated with the football team since 1978
Yeah.
in different capacities. And the stats I've probably been doing for probably the last 30 plus years for doing as statistician.
Okay. All right, we are going to take our first break. You are listening to 4 Deep Sports Talk here on the news station, 1320 AM WARA, and online, all one word, 4deepsportstalk.com. We are streaming live, podcasting live, or whatever you call it when you do the audio and the video at the same time. We'll be right back with more right after this. welcome back. You are listening to 4 Deep Sports Talk here on the news station, 1320 AM WARA, and online, all one word, 4deepsportstalk.com. Lucy Cabral, Justin Ferreira, and Craig Salvador, our intern from BCC. Craig, you having a good time at this?
I just choked on my own words. Yeah, I
He's having a
am.
great time.
Great first impression, yeah. Second impression, I guess.
So that's all that meant a yes, right? That all meant a yes?
Yes.
Good, that's a good.
When it
Yes.
came- when it came
out.
I think that was the word he was looking
Can
for.
we edit that?
Oh yeah, that'll get edited for actually Steve, you promise. But
At least they don't show my face this week.
I thought that you did pretty good. When we did the show last weekend, being Paul and we did the graphic up, so poor Craig was in your seat, and he had the bright light on him, and he's just sitting there, and he's like, and I told him, I said, when you do an internship here at 4 Deep Sports Talk, it's hands-on. He thought he was gonna write notes. I said, oh no, you get thrown right to the fire. We got stuff to do. It's the only way you're gonna learn. And
Right,
that's
right.
Yeah.
old school, and that's how I was taught, and everything I did.
That's
So
how I
and
was.
he did a great job. He
Yeah.
did a great job.
We're gonna get him on the board.
Yep,
soon.
yeah, he's gonna run this board real fast. He
Yay.
can't light it up and make it
Sounds
smoke like I do.
enthusiastic.
Yeah.
So we'll probably do that probably next week on our freeform Saturday, and try to get stuff out there and talk about. We'll all pick a score and probably do box scores like we've done in the past.
Right.
And get caught up on week 3 teams. Brockton and BR and somebody. Some of the Hockomock teams and some of the MAC teams, the Mayflower team. Give them some press.
Yep.
So that's probably going to be our next week, but we have, I want to call them 508-222-1320. I'm trying to think, and I don't know if I said this, and if I did, please forgive me. What did we get better at than last year? Did I say that? I don't think I said
Yeah,
it.
well, I think a lot of it is more experience, because it was a young team, and like I said, and by losing the quarterback last year was kind of a tough loss for us, especially an athletic quarterback as well, too. But again, everyone coming back next year, because I think one of the good things with the program, and you talk about feeder systems,
Yeah.
is when you have great coaching at the freshman level and at the JV level, so when they get to the varsity, same thing with the high school system. And a lot of the coaches that are with the freshmen and the JV, a lot of the coaches were also former players now too. So they're giving back to the community at the school as well,
Yeah.
that they excelled at. So it's kind of nice to see them instilling, the Brockton tradition. We always talk about Brockton pride and tradition. I think it's nice with the coaches and the former players that are coming back to the city and helping the kids, in terms of coaching and getting them the right skills because obviously they know what it takes to compete at that level.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the big things that helped us out as well, was these former players coming back to end up coaching. And some of them were part of the Super Bowl teams, like when we had the back-to-back in 2004 and
Right.
2005. So a lot of these kids are nice kids. The other one too is we also have, I know you remember Dominique Wilkins.
Yeah, Dominic
Williams, sorry.
Williams, yeah.
Williams, basketball now.
That's okay.
But he actually played at BC,
Yeah.
and he's actually back helping coach with the varsity as well too.
Oh, nice.
So that you've got a guy that's played Division I college football,
Yeah.
at BC, and coming back to be able to help out with the program and help the coaches as well, and his seeing things from his perspective as well too. So I think a lot of it's all just experience and being prepared for than last year. Like I said, because obviously the kids that have a great JV season, we graduate the seniors, the juniors move in, step into the program, and they've had a successful winning season last year at the JV level.
Yeah.
So now you're ready to take and come in. I know, as you probably have heard and known through the years, you get all the coaches from the stands.
Oh, boy, yeah. We
Stop-
all know that.
Stop
coaches from the stands.
throwing the balls, run the ball more, and so everyone knows how to coach, but from the stands. But obviously, with both Armin before and Peter coaching now,
Yeah.
it's kind of like the same transition. I will say one thing: Armin is just as fiery as ever with on the sidelines with officials, and it's a lot of times we have to kind of rail. Coaches will rail him in a little bit because they'd be like, "Oh, that's baloney," and he's like yelling at officials, and Peter's like, "Come on, Dan, all right, okay."
Yeah, relax.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's trying to focus because he's worried about his father.
yeah,
He ain't no spring chicken no more.
yeah.
That's tough. You guys have anything?
How old is Peter?
Peter Colombo or Armin Colombo? Peter is my cousin Michael's age. So he graduated, he was a 78, 79, went to Holy Cross. That would make him, off the top of my head, maybe 59 years old, something like that, 58, 59. If Peter calls in, calls me a liar, I'm all good for that. Peter, 508-222-1320, but something like that.
But yeah, like I said, you know, it's his dad is just as fiery as ever, and he's just like he was when he was the head coach. So, and I thought it was really nice because when Peter took over for him, if you remember that one, that was the big first Super Bowl against Severian. Oh no, that was Everett. No, excuse me, Everett. Everett was the first one. That's right.
Yeah, wasn't that at
That
Bentley
was
College?
Yeah, the one at Bentley College.
And they
yeah.
ran the trap and they took off for 93 yards for a game-winning touchdown.
Yes.
Yeah, I was in the end zone when they did that trap.
Yeah.
I watched the whole.
Yeah,
It was
that was
unbelievable.
so not bad for your first year of
Not
coaching
at
when
all.
when you stop Everett's consecutive streaks of Super Bowl wins.
Yeah.
And you beat them, you know, and then going for the extra point to take in for the win. So
Yeah.
you know, it could play for the tie, go for the win, and after that the kid broke off that tackle.
And then I asked Peter that day, all the stations 4, 5, and 7, why did you do that? He says, I knew I had the back, I had confidence in my back, and I knew we could do it, so we did it. Just something like that, wasn't
Yeah.
his exact words. And I said, well, you couldn't say any better than that, I guess, you know? And you don't know how the
Right.
big networks.
But you don't know how it's going to play out either. So that's the thing. But the thing is, it's one thing that's always good is the confidence that he has in his team. He knows what they can do, and as long as, and again, it basically tells them all the time, even before the game. He goes, doesn't matter what they do. It all comes down to execution, and everybody does their job. You know,
Yeah.
well, not to quote Belichick, but do your job.
True.
And that's what it is. You do what you're supposed to do. It doesn't matter what they do, as long as you're doing your responsibility and what you're supposed to be doing in your position, and then everyone else does their thing. Like I said, other than the first week with the missed tackles, again, kind of shoring things up, making sure you get 5, 6 guys going to the football and do your job, and everyone else does their job, and it's all just a matter of, it doesn't matter what the other team does, as long as you do what you're doing that you need for your responsibility. Like you said, the stay home.
Yeah,
You got to
yeah.
pitch, you got to stay home, do your job.
You know, it's funny, of course, Bill Belichick, and we don't talk about the pros that much, but I think all the high school kids, all the high school coaches said, he just elaborated on that and became famous because of his winning ways, but all the other coaches throughout the years have probably said the same thing, except they're not professional at the professional level, and you know they said it, do your job, stay home, do your job. But because Bill's Bill, and he's in that limelight with professional, and he has a great winning record, a great, you know, and all those Super Bowls. It's like, you know, it's like coming from the Messiah himself, but it's been preached in high school. It had to be, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it had to be. Fundamentals.
Same
of it.
message.
Yeah,
Exactly. In
exactly.
the end, football's football.
Yeah, right. It's just repetition and, you know, getting it down and running your plays and like, you know, like, as we hear talk about Brockton had one for years, they used to run out of the power eye, and then, you know, they went to the wishbone, and it all depends on the athletes they had, and now they're going to the spread out of the pistol, which only means the quarterback's 2.5 yards off the center instead of the normal 3.5, hypothetically, off the top of my head, that they would run if he was out of the shotgun.
Yeah.
And it's just good deception, run that ball, baby, have them bite on it, and, you know, use your God-given ability, throw your blocks. God might have to pull on that side, or the opposite God might pull if you're doing like a redskin or something, and then it's all God-given ability after that.
Plus, like I said, there's plays where it breaks down and the quarterback's able to take and scramble out, and once he gets through, he's so elusive that the moves he makes, faked out 2 defenders in the other game, and it was like, you go to, Graf's giving it air, and he's gone the other way.
Yeah, yeah. As for me, as a statistician, I consider you part of the staff. You know what I mean? You are part of the staff. You help out Peter a lot. Those numbers don't lie. Now, as a fan, how do you think the season's going to play out of the 2 games you saw as a fan?
Well, CM, I don't know about CM. I know that, like I said, again, it's all we really have to do is just do our part, you know, and make sure. One of the things I use as a tool for myself too, is not even being a coach, but just even as a statistician, I'll go on to use the app Huddle, and I'll go on and I'll watch game films, the scouting playing too. So I kind of know going into the game what the coaches are looking at. So now I know, you know, because I'm not there during the week. So obviously I work my other job during the week. So it's not day to day like it used to be when I was at the high school.
Right.
So I show up on game day, but a lot of times, you know, I'll ask coaches certain things like, you know, certain things, but a lot of this I don't have to, because since I've watched some of the scouting game film on Huddle, I could watch like CM's playing Stoughton today. So I could watch, later today, I can watch the CM versus Stoughton game on Huddle and know what we're kind of expecting from what CM likes to do. Because
Right.
one of the things I noticed when I watched the Lexington game was that quarterback, most of the time, he looked to run most of the time.
Yeah.
He threw the ball consistently, but most of the time when he was in a scramble, he would always run. So I pick up little pieces myself. So I saw a situation coming up, and it's like, tell them to watch the ball and don't jump off sides. It's fourth and one. Sure enough, hard count, we jump across and automatic first down for the other team. And again, a lot of things that I see too, a lot of times, like I said, I'll do it just through scouting, watching the scouting films. Obviously, the coaches are obviously with the day-to-day thing and working with the kids saying, okay, well, we need to take away this. We need, obviously, like most defensive coaches anyways, try to take away the offense's most potent weapon. So if you can eliminate this from part of the puzzle, then you can focus on, keeping the quarterback in the pocket kind of thing, as opposed to,
Right.
okay, if we shut down the running back, we're going to make sure that we keep contained on the quarterback, and the quarterback, like the spy kind of thing, where you have the one person that's responsible
has
for the
one job to
quarterback.
watch that.
Right, and watching that. So again, a lot of that stuff is picked up, a lot of it through the coaching. And like I said, but I've picked up a lot over the years in regards to just by watching the game films, especially the scouting ones. And there's usually 2 or 3 games a season that you can watch different scouting things of
Yeah.
those teams that are on there. Sure beats the old days of reel-to-reel film.
Remember that?
Real for real.
Oh, yeah, you sit in and stop
Oh, I
it.
know.
And then you'd have to rewind it, yeah, exactly, they'd rewind the reel, and then, let's go back to that show, you go back to that.
Yeah.
right.
thing,
It's taken over the world practically.
basically.
Yeah, it is. We have about 3.5 minutes left if you wanna call in at 508-222-1320. We are highlighting Brockton Boxer Football, and Brian Lynch, he is a stat man, and to me, I consider him on the coaching staff. But, as far as, you've been doing it since 1970, that's a long time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Brockton Boxer Football.
That's before
Yeah,
my
I love
lifetime.
it.
Well, that's one of the good things about it. Like I said, the thing I love about it the most is just seeing the generations of the kids come through. And unfortunately, like I mentioned about most of them, with Brockton getting tougher as a city, a lot of people moving to the suburbs, things like that. So seeing a lot of these other parents and stuff coming to the games from like Bridgewater, Rainham and thing, is kind of tough. But like I said, the nucleus of the kids, it's come to work, bring your, it's the city the way that the city is. It's like, bring your lunchbox, come get ready to go to work kind of thing. And it's like, it's been like that for the program for a while now. But it's like I said, I've seen the generation of kids. The kid that started out being the ball boy, throwing the footballs in all the time,
Yeah.
and now he's on the JVs. And then he comes up to the varsity and he's starting quarterback at the varsity. And I said, I remember when you were the water boy, and then there was a ball
Yeah.
boy, and you see these people come through, and they've been around the program so long that they can't wait until it's their turn to play. And then, like I said, the families that come through, like all the Marcianos that have come through, all the Columbos that have come through the program,
Yep.
like with Chucky, and then there was with Tommy, and to see the kids come through, that's the kind of thing that's nice for me, being around the program as long as I have. And like I said, the pride and tradition is not just talk. I said a lot of that stuff. Jay McGillis's jersey hangs in the locker room. So if you need motivation, play like Jay was always the phrase to use. And it was like, there's a plaque above the door when their players come in, and everyone taps that. Former players, current players, coaches, everyone knows that Jay's plaque's up there. You hit that on the way in, you hit it on the way out.
Right.
And then we have Henry Thevden, who passed away. That was part of the 2008 team, to leukemia as well too. And one of the things with him is there's a plaque on the door going out with his name on it too. So each of the players is a kind of a tradition kind of thing with the locker room, that as you're going in and out, there's a lot of great things in there. The actual touchdown run that we talked about, Everett, there's a framed, posted photo in the locker room of that as well too, plus some of the trophies that are in there as well too.
All right, we have about 20 seconds to be fair. Your final thoughts on how they're going to finish? What do you think the record's going to be? About 20 seconds.
Well, I think obviously I feel very good going against CM. BCI is gonna be a tough one because the running back for BCI has been tearing it up the last 2 weeks.
10 seconds.
And so,
I don't want to lose you. I want you to lose
no,
it. I don't wanna lose it.
Zaveri, 50-50 against Zavarian this year, and I think we'll be good.
All right, Paul, Lucy Cabral, Justin Ferrera, and Craig Salvador. I want to thank Brian Lynch coming in. We'll see you next weekend.